Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Parent Pod. It's great to have you with us. Every week, we are bringing you different local family-friendly businesses, highlighting local parents, discussing important topics, and spreading some kindness and more. This hour is for you. I hope that either the kids are in bed or you have them occupied, maybe reading a book, having some family time with dad or someone or sibling. And I hope we are all ready to go. This evening, we have special guest Tracy Lamperti with us. She has been an advisor with the Cape Cod Moms blog pretty much since our inception, which, we went live in 2011. So we're coming up on 10 years. I can't even believe it. 10 years, a decade. It's crazy where the time has gone. And Tracy is a local psychotherapist and licensed social worker. And she's also the founder of 2020 Year of the Family. And it's crazy because I don't think when she thought about this, it would be as true as it is today in the time of COVID. So she's going to be coming on tonight, and we're going to be asking her your questions, lots of questions that got submitted to her, and she's going to cover some of those. And we're also going to talk about the importance of family and some of the other things going on. Aside from that, we're also going to have our regular giveaways. Tonight, to win a prize, you can win a Cape Cod Quarantini shirt. Let me show you. I get so many compliments on this. It's a local student, Lily Matthews, who makes these shirts, and they're fabulous. So we'll get it custom in your color and size. If you're the winner, all you have to do tonight is submit a question for Tracy. Any question you like at any point. We may not read it right away, but what we will do is read it as time permits as we go through. The second way to win was through nominations that we take throughout the week and nominating someone for act of kindness, somebody who's really made an impact in your life, someone who inspires you, someone who's really special, and we call them live in the air. And so tonight we're actually going to do the format a little bit different. We're going to call the person first, and then we're going to get into it with Tracy. Lastly, I just want to remind you guys, if you do not have your cocktail of the week, I'm going to pull it up over here. Courtesy of our local mixologist, Lauren from Lemon Sour Co., and she also works at Rock Harbor Grill. This is the Family Affair. It's delicious. It's an Aperol Spritz. It can be made with or without spirits, and it is very refreshing. I've been very impressed with our mixologist lately with all the different cocktails. So I hope you have yours. If you are watching with us, tag us on social media, Instagram or Facebook or Twitter as you go, and we'll retweet your stories later. So now I'd like to bring on our buddy Tracy, and in about 3 seconds, we're going to bring her on, and here we go. We're going to have some fun tonight, ladies. Hi, Tracy. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing good. It's nice to see you, right? So as I was just telling everybody watching right now, you have actually been with the Cape Cod Moms blog almost since our inception back in 2011. You were one of our first advisors brought on board, and you've just been giving us great advice right from the very beginning.
Wow, thanks.
It's true. Some of your blogs between the family dynamics, and you've highlighted things like doing family movie nights or the babysitting. I remember the babysitting questions and applications that you put out. There's all kinds of different things that you've done with us that have been really, really useful, and still some of our biggest blogs viewed to date. So why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
So, yeah, I'm Tracy Lamperti. My practice is in the Lemon Tree Village in Brewster, and I've been practicing for 25-ish years. So, yeah, I have a master's degree, I'm a licensed mental health counselor, and primarily now I see individual adults, couples, and families. Sometimes when I do talks like this, it brings a lot of child referrals, and I don't see children as individuals. I only see children in the context of the family. So keep that in mind if your child has a need. It's really my belief, while child therapy really does have its place, individual child therapy, I feel like I can reach people best in the context of the family. So that's what I put my focus on.
Absolutely. Oh, Tracy, I didn't hear that last part for a second.
Okay. Yeah, so I mostly put my focus on the family, and actually that's where my family program was born out of, is trying to help families and give families tools to come together in a healthy, meaningful way.
So tell us, actually, you know what? Before we kind of get started into our talk, I told everybody we were going to do our act of kindness because I want to really be able to kind of talk in depth and I don't want to be rushed at the end. So do you mind real quick? So just for anybody who doesn't know, and for Tracy, who it's her first time, what we do is we call someone who's been nominated for a random act of kindness. We surprise them live on the show. And then after, I take care of getting it to them. And so this week we have our nominated winner is Anya Hightower. So I don't know if she's watching. She was nominated by Kelly DePina, who I know is a regular watcher of this show. So we're going to call and surprise Anya now. Hopefully she answers, but she might not because she might be busy with the kids, and that's okay. You can hear that, right, Tracy?
Yep.
Okay, great. It's like my favorite part every week.
Fun.
Hello?
Hi, is this Anya?
Yeah.
Hi, Anya. It's Amy from Cape Cod Moms, and I'm on the Parent Pod right now live with Tracy Lamperti. And I'm calling to surprise you because you are this week's winner who was nominated to receive an act of kindness.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah, so I just want to read you, Kelly DePina submitted a nomination for you, and I'd like to read it for you really quick.
Okay.
She said, Anya is amazing. She's a super mom of 3 and an awesome friend, a strong military wife, and is an essential worker. She's our Girl Scout troop leader, and she's always doing for others always. She goes above and beyond for everyone. She's just simply the best, and I'm so lucky to have her as my friend. So congratulations, because you are an awesome friend to your friend Kelly and a great example. I loved reading that, and we're really happy. When we get off the phone, I'm gonna have you text me your address. So in the next couple of days, I'm gonna get you a little gift over to you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Amy.
You're welcome, and thanks so much for being an awesome mom.
Oh, thanks. I do my best.
That's what we're all doing. No handbook, right?
Exactly.
Thank you so much, Anya.
Thank you.
Bye bye. See, I always love that.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and it's nice to kind of give back. That's my therapy.
Well, and we all need encouragement, right? So it's a great thing to do.
Exactly. And we all need a little kindness right now, I think, still. We got to keep remembering that. So let's go back to Year of the Family. When you first came out with 2020 being Year of the Family and came up with this, you had no idea that 2020 really was going to be Year of the Family, and how fitting that is. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so forever I've been trying to get families to connect better because we know that children have fewer mental health issues when they're in a connected family. And we also know, or I also know and thoroughly believe, that children's mental health issues can be best managed usually in the family setting. So that's why I like to help parents in doing that, to, be the ones that help their child get better. Not that you don't need a professional for the child, sometimes you do, but so, I've been begging families to have more family dinners. By the time the kids get to teenagers, it's like they're eating dinner in their room a lot of times, and that's just not helpful. And, the family is competing for the attention of the children, competing with friends, social media, things that they're learning in school from teachers, social things. And the family program that I've designed is really about bringing the family back together and empowering parents to let parents know, you get to decide about how your children are raised. And so if you want to raise them, think of any issue, think of any hot topic issue or any, think back to the beginning, breast or bottle, which are you going to do? And the point that I'm trying to instill is that you can do whatever you want. Yeah, we want to get advice from people, but it's your decision. And you get to decide. You get to set those guidelines for your own family and your own children. Homeschool, public school, you get to decide. Encourage your older kids to go to protests or don't encourage them to go to protests. You get to decide that. You get to decide, like, you want to raise your kids in a liberal home or in a conservative home. We have so many things to fight about these days. But the point being is that you get to decide. So the Year of the Family program starts in this box. There's a couple of lower levels that are things taken out of this box that you can just get the separate components. But so you open up this box and it's got this guide that walks you through. This is a book I'm working on that is coming soon. But this guide kind of walks you through some of these processes. And so it comes with these cards. And so pretty much it's just about engaging in a meaningful way with family, say after dinner or on a Saturday morning after breakfast. And you just pull a card out, or maybe your kids pull a card out. And I have rules in here about how many times you can exchange the card in one session, but basically you just pull a card out and it has like an activity to do. And the activities are meant to be as short as maybe 5 to 10 minutes, but they can be gone into in more depth as well, and you can get 20 minutes out of it or half an hour out of it. But it's a starting place. So it comes with those cards, and then the stickers are going to be something that is going to be enhanced. These were just kind of thrown in at the last minute, things that I've been using with clients. And so this helps families to focus around an issue. Like, say the family is having a problem, the family identifies the problem. Like, think of a problem, sharing the bathroom in the morning, like who's going to get what time in the bathroom. And so we got a problem, the kids are fighting in the bathroom every morning, fighting over the bathroom every morning. So we get a problem, we got to solve it. So you put, maybe you can use these any way you want, but maybe you put the solve sticker up and then you have the whole family decide what are going to be some of our solutions to this. Or let's say you put the solved up, and every time that week or that month even you solve a problem, you can make a note of, we solved this problem. Maybe we solved this problem without even any help from mom or dad. So a bunch of stickers in here with different themes. You can see more about it on my website. This is an NFC card, which just you can tap it to your phone if you have a phone over a certain number, ISO or Android or something, and it brings you right to my different sites, social media sites and whatnot, and connects you to different resources. And then there's these cards, which are meant to help to organize, help you to run a very effective, successful family meeting. And the card is stuck in here. All right, it's stuck in there. I'll get it out later. It must be the heat or something. So these are the elements of the family meeting. So there's always, you're never at a loss for something to talk about. And so maybe your family meeting topic is going to be words of encouragement for each other. And you're going to make each other like a little sticky note with something that you like about them. Okay, got it.
I like that one, by the way.
So there's 10 different elements here. So maybe there's something that needs to be apologized for. So apologies or words of encouragement. Requests, like I would like to request to have the bathroom first. So there's always goals. Goals like, let's all save our money and or save our chore money or something. That's a whole nother issue, should we pay kids for chores, but you can go on my blog for that one. And so maybe we want to save our can money or whatever, and we want to save up for, I don't know, a trip to, I don't know where do families go these days, I don't have little kids anymore, but Water Whiz or something like that. And so the family works, so the family works together on the goal. Sometimes like with older kids, you maybe need to sync calendars, so that's on here. So anyway, those are some ideas about what to do, making sure you never have a loss of something to do during the family time. And then these are the rules for the family meeting, which I like to keep right in the middle of the table. And rules like everyone attends. This is all spelled out in the guide, but everyone attends. So you plan the family meeting during a time when everybody can attend. One person speaks at a time. So everywhere from little kids to older kids are learning these social guidelines for rules and whatnot. So give everyone a chance, be a good listener, things like that, and a little some suggestions on there. And then it just comes with a notebook to keep track. And I've actually, in various places, I've had parents come to me and say, we kept a notebook for stuff like this when my kids were little. Maybe they're talking to me about grandkids or something. And we kept this book, and now my adult kids can have fun looking at it with their kids. So that's just a quick overview of 2020 year of the family that I had done before any of this happened.
You actually gave me one, and we haven't used it as much as I would probably like, but we have been using it here and there, and we're using it more and more because I realized a couple weeks ago, I'm like, oh my gosh, I remember, Tracy had given me that, and I put it away for a while, a couple months, and I was like, oh, we need to get back into this because I'm seeing what's happening. I know what's happening with us. I know what's happening with other families, and it's a struggle. And you're right. We got to get back to the family dinner, the family meeting, the family dynamic, because it's crucial. That is a proactive approach. That's the solution to a lot of things. You build a proactive solution from the beginning. You support families. And we talked about this last week with Susan Shar when she was on. But you support families and get them back to nurturing that family unit. We can do a lot of things. We can combat a lot of problems.
Well, look what's happened just with the quarantining issues that we've had. It's like if your kids don't get along, you've got some making up time to do. And kids, I know siblings don't get along. My kids didn't get along every minute of every day. But if you don't have that foundation, even if there's an age difference, you still, at least they have each other. Or if it's an only child, at least they have you. And what's going to happen where we have things are changing. Well, at the beginning of all this, things were changing on a daily or weekly basis that we had to kind of regroup and be like, what are we doing today? Do we go to the grocery store today? Can we go to the grocery store? How much food do we have? Are we rationing toilet paper? Like, you have to have these conversations. And if you don't already have a repertoire, a pattern set up where you can have, just an easy way to call people together and be like, we have something to talk about. Or, tragedies that happen, a school shooting happens. And if you don't already have it set up where, your kids come to you when they're concerned, or you can bring them in, or grandma dies or something unexpectedly, or even maybe expectedly, and you don't already have it established where we get together and we just be with each other and figure things out, talk things through. So important.
Why do you think that we've gone away from that? What is it what has kind of caused that? Because I grew up in the 80s. I was a kid of the 80s and the early 90s. We were constantly outside. We had family dinner, and our butts were home for family dinner, even in the summertime, no matter how much fun we were having. And I don't know whether it's a combination of more dual income working families, like both parents having to work and the pressures of that. I don't really know. What's your thought on that?
Yeah, I think, like you're saying, all the pressures that parents have to have their, not just to make the money, but parents want, women want to have careers now. Back in Leave It to Beaver day, that was the mom's careers that, so we can look through, it was raising kids. We can look through history and say, when did women go to work? But anyway, we are where we are now. And whether anybody thinks it's a good idea or not, is that women want to seek out their careers. And men want to too. They want to share the responsibility. I have a career. Look at me. I'm a psychotherapist. I'm a full-time psychotherapist. It's my career. I devoted my life to it. So I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I'm just saying it's a difference that people still have to say, well, okay, given that, still, what are my priorities? Like, who's raising my kids here? And when, you know, when electronic devices hit the scene, and then kids are on those, and then, you know, the thing to do for kids was to be involved in like every sports event, sports team, and, you know, have multiple extracurricular activities. Then suddenly it's like, sorry, we don't, I mean, I have many families who tell me, we don't have time to have dinner together. We're running off to this and that. So in some regards, the pandemic has squashed that. And
Right.
it's like, bingo, we're having dinner together every night now.
Right.
Hopefully your kids aren't in their bedrooms eating dinner. But yeah, I think there's a lot of different factors that play into why families have really fallen. There's higher divorce rates, more adults that aren't getting along. People are tired. They're like, just go, you know, I need to rest. Just go watch a video or do your own thing.
Yeah, it's tough. And then, I mean, I'm guilty of it sometimes too. I'm not doing family dinner every night. I know there's definitely an improvement in our dynamic, especially with the kids' behaviors, the more consistent we are with it. And actually, because we've noticed that, we got a better kitchen table. We actually, you know, my sister was moving, and I said, I want that kitchen table. That's perfect for our kitchen. It gives us a better way to sit around with the bench seat with the kids. But there is a tie-in with that family dinner. And you're right. If you don't start it from a young age, as they get older, they're going to be eating in their room. And that's when you're, as a parent, you're like, well, why don't you want to spend time with me? And it's like, well, you reap what you've sown now. You've got to do it right from the beginning. I know, too, I'm kind of guilty of it, not putting as much importance on it, because I am overwhelmed. And Pam brought that up, overworked parents, overscheduled kids. And you feel this pressure. My kid's got to be in this activity. He's got to be taking this thing as an extracurricular. He's got to do music. He's got to do tumble time. And then you're overworked on top of it. And women especially are balancing so much that, I mean, I'll tell you what, I come home sometimes, especially during tax season, and I'm like, I don't want to cook dinner.
Yeah, grab a pizza.
Yeah, and just
take it in front of the TV and we're good.
And then I feel terrible about it, because I know, even if I just take that pizza and sit at the table, that's better, because then I'm engaging in a conversation. And so we've actually done things like have the kids participate in helping make dinner and things like that, because it's you know, they made an appetizer of grapes and strawberries, and
I saw that.
It was lovely. Made a little happy face, and that's, you know, it's that type of thing that helps that dynamic and getting together.
Well, we've shifted. We've had this cultural shift where, like, the kids used to be more like a part of the working part of the operational family, to the point that it's like our kids are there to be served by us. No wonder we're exhausted, because we're doing everything for them.
Oh, that's a great point. Because
it's easier to do it for them.
I'm tired of being the cruise director. Like, stop the boat, I want off. And I'm finding it's hard to kind of get them into that routine. I know it'll get easier the more consistent I am, and, you know, you need to help set the table. You know, be a part of this. You help us, and you know what? They thrive when they do. It can be tough, but they do. They do thrive.
Yeah. One of the pitfalls I see in parents trying to make a change in these kind of areas is that they bite off way more than they can chew. So parents will come in and say, yes, we're going to do this. We're going to do the family meeting, and we're going to get the chore chart. And the parents go home and they make this elaborate, I could tell you some stories about some chore charts that have gone up on the walls. And 3 days in, it's old news.
Yeah, you're going to give up. It's too frustrating, and you're like, ugh,
it's too much.
You got to start small, baby steps. Just introducing the family dinner would be
once a week, even.
Once a week.
Let's just commit to once a week.
Exactly.
Or, I mean, once a week isn't very much for family dinner. Hopefully, we can do better than that. But
let's shoot for 4, everyone. 3 to 4. 3 to 4 is a good goal.
But chores, like get rid of the chore chart. Like just pick one chore for. I mean, in the family program here, like one of the suggestions is sit down and let's make a list of all the. That's on one of the cards actually. Let's make a list of all the things that mom does, and then on another card, let's just make a list of all the things that dad does.
Yes.
And then we get the kids contributing, and sometimes kids are like, I don't know what they do. I don't know, and they need a little help, like your laundry, wake you up in the morning, drive you to your activity, so they need maybe dad to help with the mom part. And, and then to say, we got this list of mom does 500 things. What's one thing you can for 1 week take over for mom? And you start small and you have successes and people feel good about it.
Well, then you develop empathy for the other person and what it is that they have to do. I actually like that. I might have to switch with my husband. We were actually having this discussion, I think, yesterday. I was like, I don't know if you know all the little things I do.
Exactly. You're right about
There's
that.
a lot of coordination between appointments and school and everything. It's mentally exhausting. His job might be physically harder than mine, but I think sometimes is mentally harder. So I would love to switch roles. I said, I'll go work in the grocery store. I'd love that. So right now, there's obviously increase in stress and anxiety. And we had a couple of questions about this. And how can parents handle this increase in stress and anxiety in the kids and in the families? I mean, you got a lot of factors here. You've got the virus, the school, not being able to do your regular activities, and then overhearing things. I was sharing with you about my nephew being really anxious about people being too close to him as he's hearing it over and over on a speaker. Maintain your social distance. And so how can people cope with that? How can we help our kids?
I think the number one is that parents have to help themselves, and couples have to work together and be checking in. As much as a family meeting is important, the couple getting together on a regular basis is really important too, so that you can keep your finger on the pulse of each other. How are you doing? Because any stress, all the parents that are going to watch this or all K-pop moms, they know, like if you're stressed, your child, it's going to, translate to your child. So I think that's the number one, is making sure we, be careful about our intake of news and social media. And, put some boundaries around when we're talking about these things and not be doing it in front of our children. They don't need to hear this. They really don't need to hear any of this. No. Theoretically, we could have gone through this last, what are we at, like 8, if you call it, since like mid-January, which is probably more like late February, but, this is a lot of months now. And theoretically, there's certain kids that shouldn't have had their lives changed much at all, like the little kids who are just home.
They never should have known.
Yeah, they shouldn't know. They shouldn't have any visual images of any of the riots that have happened. Or so yeah, we've got a lot of stress right now. We've got the pandemic, we've got social unrest, and we've got financial turmoil. And these are burdensome things for us adults to have to manage. So yeah, I think taking care of ourselves is number one, and then minimizing what they have to experience, and when they're stressed, to get from us, like, we're going to be okay. Like, we'll stick together and we'll still have family dinner whether we're in a pandemic or not. There are hard parts that we have to adjust to, but we're going to be okay. They have to be given that message.
I think you hit on a key point there. Yes, we're going to be okay, and we're still going to have family dinner. And what you're alluding to is this consistency, and children love consistency. Families love consistency and routine. And by giving that even something as simple as a family dinner, it's stability. They know to expect it. They know that's a safe time. They know that's going to happen on that schedule. And it's crucial for them to have a clear consistency thing right now, especially in the time of the family.
And I think this idea too about like parents feeling bad for their kids going through all this. Yeah, I feel bad for them too. kind of feel bad for me that I haven't been able to do certain things. We've missed a funeral of somebody special to us because there was no funeral. So it is sad. I mean, there are things we've had to deal with. But I think this feeling sorry for our kids can only go so far, because they're going to pick that up and be like, poor me. We do not need our young kid generation to be going into their next stages of development with this poor me attitude, and I can't get to do anything I want, and I can't see my friends, and I can't go to school. Much of that might be true, but I think we have to package it in a way that the kids don't feel like, this is awful.
Right.
That's that was
contributing to this downing, this depression feeling.
Yeah, and there was a Cape Cod Times article. I'm not faulting anybody for anything that they said, but some of the things they said were, my friends and I, we're done with this. We're over this. We don't want to do any of this. And I forget exactly what the comments were, but these comments are often said in front of the children. And so if the parents are saying, I'm done with this homeschooling or this distance learning, it's not working for my child. If the kids are hearing all this, it's not going to work for them. I promise you that. So they cannot be hearing those messages.
No, and
there has to be a can-do attitude about it.
Absolutely, we got to set the example. We don't even really, if we don't even watch the news. Actually, we haven't in months. If we look up news stuff, we're only doing it when we're at work or on our phones or after there, because it's just, we're not going to lay there, or like you said, we're not going to wallow in it. And I mean, I get myself caught mentally sometimes feeling really bad for them, for me. And then I do it in private, and I have myself a good cry every once in a while. And then it's like, all right, let's move on. What else can we do? What can we do? And again, it gets back to the consistency. What can we control? And what we can control is bettering our relationships with our families. That's a big thing we can control. What about, so, you kind of touched about it, kids freaking out with the anxiety too close to them in public. That's just leading again by example. Maybe you could kind of talk me through. So if the situation I told you about had happened to you, how would you have handled that in the moment?
I would have tried to help to make a bubble around if there needed to be one. If there didn't need to be one, I would just try to, have them breathe through it. The other issue that we talked about was the OCD kind of qualities about the germaphobe kind of stuff.
Yes.
So do you want to spend a minute on that?
Yeah, let's talk about that, because we've had some parents submit about kids who are being now over cleaning their hands and really obsessively doing it. They don't want to be dirty at all. How can we work on that? Because there are a group of kids that are being affected for that. Yeah.
Okay. So, first off, there's some reasonable thinking to that. When I went back to my office, I'm in my office now for like a 10-hour day on Mondays. And after probably my third hour of therapy with people, I found myself like scanning the room like germ, or anything so it's real. And the thing with OCD that's maddening is that there's enough truth to the thing that they're concerned about that it could be possible. So you can't completely invalidate their concern. But okay, so what's the fix for that? The fix, let's say it's hand washing and germs. And let's say that what the child is doing is they're washing their hands, and the second they touch anything, they're going back to wash their hands again. So what we have to do is help our child to realize you understand their concern and everything, and especially with what's going on, validate, but you do understand this is over the top. This is not necessary to do this. That you can talk with them about how the body has all these mechanisms with an immune system, and you could find probably a kid-friendly version of this, cartoon-wise, on YouTube. I'm sure that there's probably something there. Show them that, and then sit down and say, okay, we need a plan about this. So I'm not going to be able to I'm not going to be able to let you wash your hands that much because then you're going to get dry and cracked, and then you're going to open yourself up to even worse infection.
Picking
And
up the scabs.
yeah, so we have to talk with them about, we have to recognize and acknowledge that we can't be doing that. And the reason you're doing that is because you're worried. So let's deal with the worry, not the germ. You already dealt with the germ the first time you washed your hands. Now you're just worried. So that's where, this is one of the best things that, I don't know if all schools have done it, or I don't think all schools have done it, but the whole Calmer Choice program,
Oh, yes.
with the mindfulness, this is where that comes in. And so this is where you want to help to be training your children, teaching your children to find a place of calm inside where they can go when they're feeling like, I want to wash my hands, but mom said I can't, or I want to wash my hands, but I just did, and I'm going to be embarrassed if I ask to do it again. And that, so what I need to do right now is to try to find a calm space inside, and then to work all that mindfulness, which again, you can find tons of internet resources for mindfulness strategies. But the key with mindfulness and anxiety and OCD is a lot of people will be like, in the moment, what can you do? You can take a deep breath in the moment. Yeah, you can do all these things in the moment, but rarely do children, or adults for that matter, call on those skills in the moment if they haven't been practicing them in calm moments. So you're going to be much more successful if during calm moments you're saying, let's do 2 minutes. I have an Apple Watch. I don't know what other, there's tons of apps where you can get the flower that goes like this.
Yep.
Breathe with the flower. 1 minute, it's 1 minute. I think maybe you can set it for 2 minutes. A few times a day. And this will help them to build that calm root in their neurology and their brain to hop on. So when you're on the anxious route, it's well trampled, that anxious route. You go down that anxious route a lot. And so when you find, like, I'm on that anxious path right now, I've got to hop over to the other path. And you do that by whatever you've done in the mindfulness training, whether it's the breathing to the thing that goes in and out, or whether it's aromatherapy and an essential oil that you just smell, or whether you have a device with earpods or something and you can put music on right away. Whatever you've practiced with, that's what you want to call on in the moment. But if you haven't practiced with it, it's like building a muscle. If you don't, you can't all of a sudden, bench press 200 pounds. You have to work up to it. This is no different than that. So, I think you have to put some loving but firm limits on. It's not about the germ right now. It's about your feeling anxious inside.
Right. And it's a big concern because we are seeing some increase in these anxiety in the kids, and
definitely.
And it's in the parents too, and which we can all understand. So, and some of those things as parents, we should model and practice ourselves. I know for me, you mentioned essential oils. I love the lavender. That's what I use more at night or towards the end of the day. First thing during the day, if I ever need something invigorating, I use lemon or orange and it kind of resets me. And I've been practicing for a long time with them, so I know I just have to unscrew it and go. Get a little sniff, or I put on music. I'm a big believer in music. I love music. Music's always going in this house. As when we're in the kitchen or reading, whatever, we've always got music going on. We love it.
But the practice is key. The practice when you're in a calm space is so essential.
Because then you're just used to it. And then when it happens, you're like, oh yeah, okay. And you're right. It becomes easier, and you get that quicker effect because you have practice. It's like, oh, okay. So let's talk about parenting fatigue from always being parents, always on, especially right now. I alluded to it earlier, the cruise director, but parents they're not getting a break. Pre-COVID, you could get a break. You could go out for a date night. I know some people probably have, but you had a little more flexibility in it. That was important to have that reset switch. How wow, well, that coupled with financial stuff, again, leading to more stress with the pandemic. And like you've said, the social unrest, it just feels like there's just so much going on.
Yeah.
And I know we got to do all these things. But sometimes I'll be even practicing these things. Sometimes I still feel like I'm staring down the end, and I don't see that glimmer at the end sometimes. And I have to keep reminding myself, I'm like, we're going to be okay. There will be that glimmer eventually. But it's been getting really, really hard.
Right. Right. So without starting with a guilt, and I don't mean to guilt anybody ever, but it's that we had kids and we have to sacrifice ourselves for them. Makes me think back to when my husband and I homeschooled. We homeschooled for 10 years. And I remember, and I was a psychotherapist then too, not as many hours as I have now, but I was professional. And it was always like, okay, I've got this big project or, whatever, cleaning a room in the house or something, anything, or bills that need to be organized or paperwork. And when I was homeschooling, I would be like, okay, I'm going to do this during school vacation because I just can't. I have to just breathe through it and say, that's not what I can do right now. I have to do this. And because I made this commitment, we made this commitment for our kids, we have to do it. Or because there's a pandemic and we have no choice. Our kids are here whether we like it or not.
Right.
And there was always like, but there will be, or date night. Like my husband and I my mother would watch the grandkids and we would have our date night. And then during the pandemic, we couldn't even do that.
Right.
So, now we're just we can be a little bit more flexible with that. But so it'd be like, oh yeah, we need this so bad, but we can't do it right now. We have to do it later. So part of it is just breathing through, not developing any bad habits through it, like a glass of wine in the middle of the afternoon. Because it does get stressful and overwhelming, and you need a break sometimes. And I can say, even with, my kids are great. They don't need me really at all. Theoretically, they could live without me at this point. They're 15 and 20, and so they're great. I don't have any. My daughter might actually be watching now. Be careful what I say, but what was I going to say about that?
Well, you're here.
Oh, but even just having them here in the house and working from home 4 days a week, and even just having them here in the house, I can focus and forget they're here, but they're here. And so it's always in my mind, like I could be called upon. So that's the always on, the parenting fatigue, is that you just can't let that part of your brain, the child responsibilities part of your brain, rest fully when they're in your presence.
Right.
Or when they're, unless they're off at school, then you can be like, okay, I have this 4 hours or 6 hours or whatever. I can totally focus on what I'm doing. But if that's not the case, like with homeschooling or distance learning, so you got to breathe through it. You got to take breaks if you need to by just, I don't know, go out and go for a walk or mix it up. But this is part of the sacrificial part of parenting.
Well, they're, as you've said, that they're the number one essential workers. Children are.
Yeah.
That's got to be the priority. And you've said it before. You kind of alluded to it earlier. Be careful what we're saying around them, especially stuff right now going on with the schools. Distance learning was horrible in the spring. You don't want to say that in front of the kids. We want to reframe the mental state here. We don't want to bring them down. Everybody's done. Masks are terrible. All that. They're listening, even when you don't think they are. And I get it. We're all frustrated. We're all tired. We're stressed. And we probably need to vent where we haven't been able to vent to close girlfriends or guy friends in months, because you usually do better venting in person.
Mm-hmm. Over a glass of wine.
Yeah, and a glass of wine or spirit free, the family affair tonight. But if they heard things like, we're going to get through it together, we've got this, we've got to be positive. And that's how we treat our children. That's how positive behavior support works, is reframing it in a different way.
Yeah, and you might be able to be more present for your kids if you have one less load of laundry to fold. And the kids can do that unless they're little tiny toddlers, and you have to work with them and teach them how to do that. But our kids were, again, this idea of always serving our kids. I think we have to let go of that.
Yeah.
And understand that that's not what they need. They need us to bring them along in self-responsibility. And I see that I just caught this comment that Pam made on the side here about bedtimes. Bedtime's definitely a savior. And, I see so many parents who are very loose with the bedtime and let the bedtime routine, the stories and the teeth brushing, they're like for a couple of years, walking their kids through I understand at the beginning, earlier in the years, you have to. But there comes a point where you have to say, this is now your responsibility. And you can look at a book by yourself. And these bedtimes that drag on, and the parent falls asleep in the bed with the child. And sometimes we're talking it's a 5, 6, 7-year-old child. And then the parent comes into therapy and is like, I'm exhausted. I'm so overwhelmed. I'm like, well, then where do you need to catch a break? You need to worship the bedtime.
Yeah.
It's one place to start anyway.
So we used to be really much more strict, obviously, when school was in session and before COVID. And actually, I got a little more lenient, not with the bedtime routine, but with the bedtime itself. And that was only because I was having to still work remotely. And the only time of day I could get up and work was this 4 a.m. to 8. I could get a good stretch in there because I'm an early riser. I'm in bed at 8, usually right after the show on Thursday night. I'm already in my bed half an hour later. And I like to go to bed, but I like to get up early. And so I had moved their bedtime later and later. And of course, now we're stuck in this bedtime thing, and I'm kind of moving it back slowly to getting them ready. But it's still, the routine has remained. But it's crucial. Pam says that gives her an hour or two in the evening. I like it in the morning. I like to do my work and watch Bravo and Real Housewives on the side. One of my therapies for myself, mm-hmm. I call it. But it's kind of, it's important to have that routine. And, they give me a little bit of a hard time about it, but they're both doing it. And the little one follows the big one now, which is really great. Mm-hmm. I want to brush my teeth too. Oh, let's read a story together. And
yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, that always on parent, if you're feeling overwhelmed as a parent, think of the things that really annoy you mm-hmm. and try to get rid of those things. So it really annoys me to have to wake people up. So the waking up for school in the morning, get those kids an alarm clock. And that job is now closed. I don't do that job anymore. I haven't woken my kids up in the morning. I can't even remember when, forever ago. It was because I don't like doing that.
Oh, it's the worst.
Not only is it good for them to develop that skill themselves, but I didn't like doing it, so I wasn't very nice about it. I guess I was nice about it, but it's, that's something that you say, that's something that needs to go because it's just not pleasant experience.
So because I'm going to give you a few minutes in the end to talk about some other stuff that we talked about. So really, let's sum it up. What is this mad world we're living in and everything like that? What is your responsibility as a parent?
Well, I think our responsibility as parents is to say, this place that we call home and these people that we call family, this is the safe place. These are the safe people. This is where we re-energize, where we don't hurt each other, but we heal from things that happen out there in the world. And that, this is the touchstone. This is the place where you come to get the nurturance and the care and for you to do that for your family members too, for my child to do it for me as well. Obviously, in child, the boundaries need to be clear, but yeah, I think it's our job to teach them that the home is a safe, happy place to be. So, for couples who are struggling to get along, we got to figure that out, because the kids aren't going to have that feeling if their two leaders are not getting along.
Right. It's critical. It really is critical that they have that safe place, because as they grow up and as they start to face struggles along the way, and we all know the older you get, the harder it gets. You don't think that as a kid, though.
Mm-hmm.
But the harder it does get, and the struggles become more and more challenging. And you need a safe place to come, that I can come back to this family unit and be nurtured and refuel and reset, and I'm safe in that space. I was telling you a story earlier, and I told you how I had to call my mother, and I knew that I was in a safe place to unload, basically, and just say. And I said that to her. I go, I'm only calling you because I know this is a safe place for me right now, and I need to just express how I'm upset and frustrated and anxious right now. But we need to set that stone early, because otherwise your kids grow up and they're not going to tell you the things that are going on. They're not going to tell you when they're faced with a challenge, or if they go to school and there's a relationship problem, or someone's picking on them, or they're faced with a whole new set of problems away from home. And they're not going to come to you, because they're not going to have learned to bring that to the family unit and know that it's a good place and safe place to do that.
Right, yeah. I mean, when I was seeing kids and teenagers a lot, I had this questionnaire that I did with them. And so we're even going back like 10, 15 years. And one of the questions was, about your safe people. Like, who are the people you trust? Who are the people you would bring a problem to? And that was almost never my parents. And that's sad. And I try to think back at when I was that age, if I was really like sad about something or troubled about something, would I have gone to my parents and my mother and my father? But I don't know if I would have. I think for big stuff, I would hope that I would have. But yeah, it's not, the kids are saying, I'll go to my friends, and that's great to have friends. But again, like, who's raising your kids?
It's exactly. And Jacob talked about that a few weeks ago on his show. We were talking about internet safety. And again, he said, you need to have the conversation. You need to get back to the family. They need to feel they can trust you and talk to you, and you've got to lay the foundation early. Because if you're not teaching them and raising them, someone else is. And
Yep,
do you want
exactly.
that to be the internet? Do you want that to be their friends? Do you want that to be other people? Like, we have to make choices here. And your choices is, are you raising your kids, or is something else raising your kids?
Yeah, right. There was that former first lady who said, I don't want to talk politics, but who said it takes a village. And that is a great catchphrase. But I want people to think critically about that too, is that, yeah, the village is raising our kids right now.
Yeah.
And I don't know that we want that. Yeah, we want them to be watching out for us. We want them to give us as parents a hand. Be looking out for our kids. Notice the kid that's, doing something wrong on the corner or something. But really, it takes good parents to raise a child. It doesn't take the village to raise the child. We need the village, but a good, healthy village. But the parents need to raise
the parents
child.
are the most crucial thing in the whole dynamic.
And again, it's your choice. It's your decision how you want to raise them. You can raise them. Think of any hot topic. You can raise them however you want on that front, and they will figure it out later. If they want to go a different way, they will. But don't. I mean, later on in life, they can figure out that later on in life, whether they want to go to church or whether they want to whatever. But bring them up with what your values are and your beliefs are.
Absolutely. So before I just let you get the final word in here, Tracy, really quick, I'm just going to say join us next week. We're going to be actually on location in Vermont. Woohoo! Fingers crossed. We are in the green. So we're going. I'm excited. And we're going to get a lot of outdoor family time. And actually, for the majority of the week, I'm going to be unplugged, with the exception of coming live to you Thursday from up there to talk about how much fun we have had recharging and how vital it is. And then we have some other guests coming up, special education. Jacob will be back. Tracy's going to be back again. And we have a couple others. So any last words, Tracy?
Well, I'd love it for people to follow me on any of my social media pages. If anybody wants help getting some family meetings started, or do a lot of couples work, if you need some help getting together with your number one partner, I'm here for that, and some great resources for you to have help you along that journey.
Excellent. You've been a great guest and a great supporter of us over the years. I can't even say enough about you. I'm actually going to I'm putting this up here so everybody can see it. So TracyLamperti.com. Her social media is linked. We've been tagging you so you can follow her. She's got some great videos on her website and old blogs and videos on our site that you can tune in for. And, I just want, you know what? Pam's got a good closeout quote here, a good quote. It is not what you have done for your children, but what you have taught them to do for themselves that will create successful adults. Absolutely, Pam. And Pam, actually, you are tonight's, because you had so many comments. Nobody had any submitted questions in live time. So we're going to give you a Cape Cod Quarantini shirt. So Pam, you know how to reach me. Just PM me with your size and color that you would like and style. We'll talk more and we'll get that to you. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. I hope you had a amazing hour and learned some. We're going to bring Tracy back, like I said, for more. She's a great guest, very informative. Join us every Thursday night for the Parent Pod, bringing you education, some fun, some kindness. And we're just looking out for you guys, trying to connect you to the community. Thank you so much for joining us. Tracy, hang on there. Don't go anywhere as we close out. Thank you again, guys. Please join us next week and let us know other topics or things you'd like to see us talk about. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks again, and cheers to a great week and a great weekend. And remember, we're in this together. We got this. We are going to get through it. We're parents. We're survivors. We will. Thanks.